Alright, for those of you that have never dealt with octopus before, I have baby octopus, which I have simmered for about half an hour and allowed to cool. And now I'm going to cut the head sacs off because they're not extremely pleasant. I know some cultures like them. I personally don't find them terribly tasty. I do love the tentacles though. So we cut the head sacs off. And we simmered our octopus in some white wine. Although most recipes will tell you don't need to add any extra liquid because the octopus will release enough of its own. I do like a dash of white wine in there. And we are going to reserve the octopus liquid to cook our pasta in. Now you could use it to cook your sauce rather than using any other broth, but I think that's a little bit overboard as it is a rather strong flavor. Now we have them all cleaned up. We are going to sear them in a hot cast iron pan. And even the cat won't eat the heads. Alright, we're going to sear our octopus. We have our pan on a medium heat. We're going to add some olive oil. And we have our cleaned octopus that we're just going to toss in. Minutes because we do want them really nice and seared. So, let's give them a turn. And we don't want them deep fried, so get them out of the oil. Once they've been dredged in the oil, get them back out of that. The oil will help sear them, but if you leave it in the oil, if your pan isn't hot enough, they're going to stew. And we don't want them stewed, we want them seared. So I move them over to the side of the pan that doesn't have a lot of oil. Now we're going to give them a few minutes on each side. And then we're going to take them out of the pan and add the other ingredients for the sauce. We're going to turn on the pot of broth that we have left from simmering the octopus. And we've diluted it with a bit of water. So we're going to put that up to boiling. And we're going to add our pasta. Alright, we've got our octopus seared nicely. So we're just going to remove them from the pan. And we're going to reduce the heat to a low medium, possibly even lower than that, because we don't want to scorch our garlic or our tomatoes. Alright, our pan is cooled. We're going to put in our garlic. Now it's 3 cloves of garlic. Use more or less as your preference dictates. We're just going to let it get nice and fragrant. And we're going to add, once it's wonderfully fragrant, we're going to add our chopped tomatoes. And we're going to let them absorb some of the flavor. Just give them a minute to get back up to heat because of course the tomatoes are going to lower the heat in the pan temporarily. And we have our pasta cooking away on the side here in our octopus broth. Now once we get our tomatoes nice and warmed through and seasoned with the garlic, we are going to add some salt and some flat leaf parsley. And we will tear in some basil. If you don't have a garden that you can pick herbs from, you can always get fresh herbs from the local grocer. And it's best to use fresh for a lot of these recipes. You know, for longer cooked recipes like lasagna sauce, meat sauce, whatever, you would want to use dried. For an herb bread, you want to use dried. But for a lovely, quick pasta sauce, you want fresh. Okay, and in goes our chopped parsley. A little bit of sea salt. Let's stir around to distribute the flavors. And pour in our chicken stock. Now we want to bring this to a simmer. So you probably have to increase your heat. Now that we've got it at a good simmer, we're going to re-add our octopus. We're going to tear in a couple of leaves of basil. We're going to reserve a few leaves for later. Give your broth a little taste to make sure the salt level is good. Yeah, wouldn't want any more salt in that. You could add some pepper if you wanted, but I prefer it without. Our pasta's going to take about 5 more minutes, and then we're ready to combine it all. Now that our sauce is cooked and our tomatoes are broken down a bit and our pasta is cooked, we are going to add the pasta to our lovely octopus melody here. If this pan is cooked down a lot and it's kind of dry, you can add a couple of tablespoons or so of the water that your pasta cooked in, because you want it to be nice and saucy. The last thing we're going to do before serving is tear in another few leaves of basil and sprinkle over some flat leaf parsley. Just give it a little mix in there. And we're going to serve it with some wonderful bread. And there we have our grilled octopus pasta. I've used the broth from the octopus to cook the pasta and some chicken stock to make the sauce. If you liked the video, if you tried the recipe and liked it, please comment, please give it a like, and consider subscribing. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon.